Today we're going to be diving into how to EQ your bass guitar. If you don't know me, my name is Tyson, and I am a mixing and mastering engineer at Night Owl Music Group. Let's dive in. The first problem that we'll run into is excess low rumble. The next one that we'll run into is fighting with the kick's fundamental. The kick and the bass are, generally speaking, the only elements in the low sub range of the mix. The next one is getting lost in the mix in general. So this is going to be a lack of body. The bass is just going to sound kind of thin, even if it has a lot of low end. The next one we're going to be running into is bass with no definition at all. And then the last one is harshness, clinking and clanking, especially with basses that are played aggressively. The low rumble, right, is going to be in this kind of low range, and specifically anything below 30 hertz. We can't actually hear this physically that could otherwise be utilized inside of the mix. And so let's pull up our EQ. So we can definitely hear that extra sub layer, but ultimately we do have some buildup of energy here that we really just don't need inside of our mix. Just a gentle curve here, again, up to about 30 hertz. So let's dive into the next one, which is fighting with the kick's fundamental. So in this mix, it's living right at this 55 hertz range. Just a reminder, if you want to pick up the objective mix, there's also a link in the description of the video with the 5 objective standards that everybody is judging your mix by and how to solve those inside of the mix. So the benefit of this is that the bass generally doesn't have a very strong 55 hertz presence, and so there's probably not that much fighting between the kick and the bass in terms of the kick's fundamental. There is when it comes to the bass fundamental, because the true bass fundamental is around this like 70 hertz range, and the kick is actually masking everything right there. So we definitely need to adjust the kick to favor for the bass. The art of EQ is more about building relationships rather than just EQing things on their own. I'm going to boost the fundamental of the bass and then make room for the kick fundamental as well here. So it's kind of all over this 100 hertz range. So I'm just gonna do a nice gentle boost around there. Cut at that 55. And as you'll notice, I actually did already cut the fundamental around here for the bass. In this case, our bass is primarily living above the kick. There are cases where that is actually not true. So just keep that in mind. Your bass doesn't need to be higher than your kick. It depends on where your actual mix is. And then also your bass's fundamental does move around a little bit inside of the mix. And so generally you'll have a little bit wider Q value on your boost for the bass because you kind of want to cover all of the fundamentals, not just a single fundamental. So the next issue is getting lost in the mix, which is a lack of body in the bass. And this is the body of the bass. In this case, we actually have a very strong body. A lot of basses that I hear in mixes, the ones that are sent to me by my students, lack a lot of body in their bass. Because it's almost stronger than the actual fundamental of the bass, which is kind of an interesting case here. But instead of boosting here, because I really just don't think it needs any more, I think it sounds a little bit better if I just do a slight cut here. I'm gonna be pretty gentle here. But I kind of want to bring out this more 100 hertz range because that's where the bass should live most here. So the next issue that we're going to be running into is no definition. And the definition is really found in this range of the bass. This will change based on if you have a picked bass versus a finger picked bass. The definition is generally found around like 1.5 kilohertz with a finger picked bass, and with a picked bass, it's generally more in like the 2.5 kilohertz range. I do like this little tiny boost here around this 1.8 kilohertz range here. The last one is harshness, clinking, and clanking that you'll often find with your bass guitar, especially if it's played really aggressively. You're gonna end up with a lot of harshness in this upper, is probably more like the 4K plus range. And let's see if there's actually any harshness to be had. I hear some of it there. Do a gentle slope here. Not anything that you're missing in this range. Here's before. Here's after. Context of the mix, here's before. If you want to pick up instrument equalization guide problem spots that will often arise with these instruments, check out that guide down below. It's completely free for watching this video. And then also just a reminder, if you want to pick up the objective mix, there's also a link in the description of the video if you want to find my entire mixing process with the 5 objective standards that everybody is judging your mix by and how to solve those inside of the mix with my entire mixing workflow included all in the book. So if you want to pick up that, thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.